Very, 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 very good to be with you. I'm called immediately to gratitude for the good people, the generations, the connections of people who invented the air conditioning unit. Thank you to our ancestors for all their contributions. I invite you, as we prepare this moment to be together, to breathe with me. Find a way to settle into your present self. And in these three breaths together, these three meaningful breaths, I invite you to breathe in what you need to breathe in, to be as present as you need to be, to receive what you need to receive. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. Oh, some of you have heard of it, okay. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
are happening. It's just your hands are responsible for 2 and 4. Okay, let's try it. So it goes to 1, 3.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world can't take it away. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
I asked Adam at the end of that song to go into another world. I didn't know we were going to another galaxy. Just yeah, we went somewhere, I think. Thank you very much. And thank all of you. From the beginning of the service, the sermon begins. Don't you get it twisted. It doesn't start when someone approaches the pulpit with a prepared message. It begins the moment one voice combines with another voice, when your voice and my voice comprise the uncompromising strength that is our voice, and we remember that alone I can do quite powerful things, but together the possibility multiplies for what we can do. That is when the message begins to be preached, when we begin to be reminded that community works, and that our chance of thriving hinges on our ability to know that deep into the marrow of our bones. This is the art and soul of living. This is the art and soul of living a faith that matters to the world as much as the world matters to us. This is a faith. This is the art and the soul of living with your full heart wide open, and our hands connected to one another in the embrace of togetherness. And so you, I'm talking to you, even if I'm not looking at you right now, so you are very welcome here, each one of you. It matters that your life is connected to this life. It matters that you are connected to the story on this name that goes back a century and a half and more. Let us continue now in this tradition of hope and freedom and love, and growing ourselves into the people we need to be to answer love's call. We begin with the lighting of the chalice cup with the flame that was designed in World War II for us, the Unitarian Service Committee, designed as a symbol to mark where freedom could be found, where solace and refuge could be found. That's our calling when we light the chalice. We continue that tradition. Amy, I hope you'll help us light the chalice cup with the flame, which I have not lit yet. Yes, exactly. So we'll do the pre-lighting, ceremoniously, of course. Wonderful. And now, if you'd help us, we'll join by saying the words we use to keep ourselves in covenant and call ourselves back to community. Will you say it with me? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to see the truth in love, and to help. May we be gathered in this time of worship. May we be gathered in this time to give and receive, and thereby to grow with and for one another.
Good morning. Would you please, if you would like, and if you are able, stand where you are and make your way into the open space. And I'm going to ask you, like we did last Sunday if you were here, to walk around and look into the eyes of everyone as you pass, if you're comfortable doing that. And if you don't want to move around, that is also fine.
We're not making statues.
We're not making statues. Thanks, Glenn Thomas. Yes. Oh, so, yes, move around. Try to do it without talking. I have a limited amount of time for this activity. Okay, freeze. Find someone that you don't know very well and join elbows with that person. Whatever that means to you. Now walk with your elbow partner, stay attached at the elbow. Oh, before you move, take a moment to share your name and your pronouns if you would like. And nothing else, please. Okay, once you've done that, continue to meander in the space, looking and greeting non-verbally everyone as you pass them, connected to your elbow partner. Yep, walking around. Okay, freeze. Staying with your elbow partner. Find another pair, hopefully people that you don't know very well, and see if at least one person in your elbow partnership can join feet. Can you put your feet together?
Can join feet.
Yes. Yeah, you might have to find someone. Just like one pair of feet have to be joined, not all 8 feet have to be touching in some way. Okay, thank you. If you haven't already, make sure everyone in your group knows your name and your pronouns if you would like to share them. And once you've done that, please look around. If there is someone who is seated, please make your way as your foursome to someone who is seated. You can reach out and touch fingertips, just one person's fingertips with someone who's seated. So in your foursome, travel to someone who is seated if you see someone.
Wait, there aren't many seated people.
Huh? And there aren't very many people who are seated, so.
You want everybody to travel this?
So what?
You want everybody to travel to somebody who's seated?
If we can,
wow.
just so
Okay.
that we, so that our friends who are seated, if they want to participate, they can. And friends who are seated, if you don't want to participate, you can give a big no sign. Stay away. Okay, so you should be in either a group of 4 or a group of 5. You can unattach elbows and feet if you are attached. And make your way into a circle. You're welcome to sit down if you like, or you may remain standing if you prefer. Okay, now listen, here's what you're gonna do. A little story-making improvisation. It works like this. One person in your group will begin a story and will tell a couple of sentences of the story and then stop. The person to the storyteller's left will say yes and continue the story, add on to the story. And we will keep going around the circle, telling the story until I'll let you know when we need to be kind of getting toward the end, okay? Yes, and there may be some surprises in your story. Okay, if you understand, please show me a thumbs up.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, there's a question.
How do we know when to switch person to person? Will you tell us, or do we?
That is a good question. How do you know when to switch? I am going to ask you all, if you are the storyteller, just turn and look at the person to your left to let them know that you have completed your section of the story. And then that person knows that that is their cue to say yes! And add whatever you would like to add to the story. Okay, is that clear?
Yep, one more question.
Oh, one more question?
Does it matter what the story's about?
No, the story can be about whatever you like. And so we'll have like however many different groups in the room, we'll have that many different stories by the end. And hopefully you'll feel excited to share your story that you made with someone outside of your circle after service. Okay, so begin your story making now. Don't be afraid to integrate the sounds in the room into your story. Okay, I'm going to ask you all, whoever is speaking, to finish your thought. You don't have to finish the story, just finish your thought. Because I have something to interject into your story. Okay, are you all ready for the interjection? Okay, suddenly there is a meteor shower and a meteor slams down into the middle of your story. Continue. So we should be approaching the end of your story. So begin to end the story. We are at the ending now, and you have about 2 more minutes to end your story. You have 1 minute to end your story. You have 30 seconds to end your story. Or to pause it. You have 10 seconds. Okay, friends. Everybody, please take a moment to give your story, everyone's story, 3 claps and a snap. And you may return to your seat. Thank you.
Good morning, beloveds. It is good to be back with you again. My name is Ashley. I'm one of the ministers among you. I swear to you who knew this was happening, my hair was more purple 2 weeks ago. It will come back. Chlorine is my nemesis. Yesterday, the breaking news alerts hit my phone. And I thought, expletive, I have to pray tomorrow. I couldn't find my own words. I found some, though. The first are from Pastor Dante Stewart. If I can be honest, I find it very hard to sympathize with a man who constantly uses his platform for violence. I find it very hard to sympathize with a man who says when the looting starts, the shooting starts, who incites and justifies violence by saying, throw them out, and who has done everything to deepen polarization in this country. If I can be honest, I know that people who love power also love spectacle. They love martyrdom. They love routing up the crowd, unleashing the worst of their impulses. Can I be real? I find it hard to sympathize when you throw your fist in the air and shout, fight, 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 when you should be asking, what is happening to us? As one of our poets says, when they show you who they are, believe them. The Unitarian Universalist Association has condemned the attack. And they say, as we prepare to meet this moment, we must return to our spiritual grounding and faithful practice. Take a breath. Reflect together, wait for emerging truth over quick speculation. Anchor yourself in communities and relationships that foster resilience, liberation, and strategy. Cultivate nuance and seek out deep wisdom, political analysis, and spiritual grounding, as misinformation will be rampant. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition is rooted in the values of human dignity, justice, compassion, and democratic principles. We will remain vigilant in our commitment to protecting our democracy and the integrity of its principles and the rights of all its people. Let us keep love at the center, and remember, we are in this together. May we act like it. Amen. That last part was me. Okay, beloveds, let us pray together now. I am done with my words or my curation of other people's words. Now is the time when we remember that safety is not the absence of threat. As Gabor Mate says, it is the presence of connection. Let us stitch ourselves together again, as we do each week, connecting our hearts to one another, as we lift up all that terrifies us, all that brings us joy beyond words, all that needs to be held together, because that is where safety comes from. After each prayer, after each lifting up of joy or concern, we will do, as is our custom, a collective response to say, "You are not alone. We are holding it together." I begin with something that is only joyful. Our membership and connections coordinator, Liz Farmer, and her partner, Aaron, welcomed Lyndon Esdal Owaski at 6:51 p.m. on Saturday, July 6th. Yes! Lyndon's name combines Aaron and my family's, this is from Liz, and ancestry really beautifully, and has stories behind it that I will happily share more about if asked when I return from maternity leave in October. We send Liz our blessings as we say, "You are not alone. We are holding it together." We hold Nancy Jones in our love and care. She is online today, but she is moving to Brooklyn. This is her last Sunday with us online in Minneapolis proper, actually in St. Louis Park, she would be quick to point out. And we send her with our love, reminding her she cannot escape that love, no matter where she might happen to be sitting at the time. Amen. We love you, Nancy. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For what do you pray? What can we hold together? You may speak it aloud, hold it in your hearts, or name it in the chat. The joy of visiting grandchildren. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For your son-in-law's travels to Israel, may he be held safe, safe, safe as he travels and returns. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
The rally over the
You are not alone. We are holding it together. For our friend Philip Vance, who remains in prison for a crime he did not commit. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For modern and ancient medicine. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
For my sister Anne, that she can understand that we in the family are actually working to help her so she's not homeless at the end of this month.
For your sister Anne, may she receive your help so that she is not homeless. You are not alone. We are holding it together. From Amelia Online, for all the wonderful non-binary people who are concluding their Awareness Week, may they always be seen. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For those finding creative ways to challenge the status quo, you are not alone. We are holding it together.
For me and my community to stay sober and my recovery community to stay alive.
For you and your community to stay sober and the recovering community to stay alive. May you know you are not alone. We are holding it together. For your kids missing their papa in the army. You are not alone. We are holding it together. Beloveds, in the words of Nikita Gill, everything is on fire, but everyone I love is doing beautiful things and trying to make life worth living. And I know I don't have to believe in everything, but I believe in that. Let us sing our belief now in all the beauty we are making together in the face of the fires.
I'm reading a book, a collection of the so-called top 10 articles ever published in the Harvard Business Review. And one of the terms I have recently learned is called plastic resilience. I told him he'd find out what it is today in the service. And plastic resilience comes with several components. Among them, to be resilient, the article posits, one must know a deep-seated set of values that teach them about the meaning of life as they see it. Another one is humor, another connection to something greater. And so I'm reminded of that as we say over and over again, that that phrase was written for you. It was written especially for you. In times where you needed strength to keep you strong, you are not alone. We are holding it together. It's also meant to make you chuckle a little. For those times in which you're simply holding things together. You are not alone. We are holding it together, because humor, even, is one of the cornerstones of resilience. Resilience, that ability to remain in motion, to remain in life against the odds, is the through line of our time together in Art and Soul today. I want to welcome two artists to talk with me about a book that they together have crafted. Caren and Selina, would you join me? Would you welcome them? You can come around this way. And watch your step, because that pops up a little bit. For those of you new to Art and Soul, Art and Soul is a time where we spend in July with artists who are doing special things in the world, and we talk about their process, and we talk about artistry, and we learn a bit about how our creative selves come alive and strengthen in the world. And today we're talking about Stars of the Night. Welcome, Caren. Welcome, Selina. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about the books, just to get us into the story that we are, and the context of Stars of the Night. Would you?
Yes. So, first of all, it's so wonderful to be back here at First Universalist. So good to see everyone. So many friends. I see some kids here too. And of course, this is a picture book that Selina and I created together. And even though so many of us think of a picture book as for children, picture books are for all of us. Picture books are an art form, and we'd like to share that. And if we have the cover of the book, that would be wonderful. So many of the things that we talked about first in this beginning of this service, I just kept thinking this is just reverberating in this story.
Yeah. Tell us about the story, because many of us will have never heard even...
The term Kindertransport. I don't know if you know that term at all, but this story takes place right before World War II, 1938, right after Kristallnacht, in November of 1938, where there was a tremendous pogrom through Germany and Austria and through parts of Czechoslovakia that made it very clear what was happening in Germany for the Jewish people and the dangerous times that were unfolding. The Kindertransport was a huge effort by many. Unitarians were involved, Quakers were involved, refugee groups to get as many Jewish children out of Germany, Czechoslovakia, Austria, as many as possible within a very short time. The only country that was opening up its doors, really, truly, was England. U.S. had closed their doors, as many other countries had. 10,000 children rode trains from November or December 1938 to September 1st, 1939, when World War II and Germany invaded Poland, when the borders closed. 10,000 children went unaccompanied to England. Their parents were not allowed at all, and they were going to live with sponsors until the, quote, danger was over. But no one knew what that danger would mean. This story takes place in Czechoslovakia, or begins in Prague. It's about 669 children who were saved by the organizational skills of a British man, young man named Nicholas Winton. I don't know if you know that name or not. There's a movie that's come out called One Life that tells this story from Nicholas Winton's point of view. This is a picture book, so it's told by the children's point of view, and it's told in the collective voice of those children, these 669 children who were really saved by Nicholas Winton, although they had no idea who saved them at all until late, 50 years afterwards, where it became clear. So this story is our little light, shining our little light of actually really hope and resilience, as well as caring for the children who were in danger.
This is a tall order for sure to bring this particular story into the hands, into the experience of young ones. I'd love to know, I'm curious what called in you both to call to this story, to want to bring this story to families, and how you went about thinking, how you drew, how you wrote, how you chose the wording of how to bring such a tough topic into the hands of our kids.
I'll briefly share my piece, and then Selina, I know you have your story as well. It started with my older brother, Billy, who sent me a clip of this story revealing, Nicholas Winton's story being revealed on British TV. And it was like a 3-minute clip of Nicholas Winton meeting the adult children who he had never seen after they went on with their lives after the war. It was just a stunning clip. Maybe some of you may have seen it. And I just kept playing it over and over and crying and thinking, this story just calls to me. My family's Jewish. I have family who were in the Holocaust. I was trying to find a more hopeful story, if you can call that, to walk into this time. And I read everything I could about it, and then one morning I woke up with the first lines in the story, and then I just went with it.
And I'm sure most of you probably don't really know about how children's book publishing works, but Caren and I did not meet until the book was out in the world. So I've been illustrating books and sometimes writing my own stories for about 20 years, and I live in Brooklyn, New York. I happen to be in town right now for an illustration conference that just ended last night. But Lerner Publishing, which is located here in Minneapolis, and I'd worked with them before on a book years ago. They reached out to me, the art director, because I do nonfiction work sometimes, and I'm Jewish, and so when I read the story, they send the manuscript usually to the potential illustrator and say, are you interested in illustrating it? I read it and I loved it. It really resonated. Caren has a beautiful way of writing, truly, and I was familiar with her previous amazing book, Sachiko, also World War II. So anyways, I said yes, and then I began the work of research, doing my own research, my visual research, and doing sketches, and there was a lot of back and forth between.
But not through.
No.
But not directly back and
No,
forth. Through
through
the
the
editor.
editor.
Right.
Exactly.
And Caren tells me that that even still, there are a lot of moments in the book where you found your ideas were almost synergized together.
Yeah. Exactly.
We have that next slide.
How?
Talk about that.
Yeah. Can we get the next slide? Yeah. Talk to us. What do you see?
Oh, right. Okay. So it starts off when we were
When we were 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, we lived in the beautiful city of Prague.
This is the first line.
This is the first, it's the collective first person, which is kind of unusual for a picture book. But it's not centered on one child. It's centered on the 669 children speaking in one voice.
So I had to figure out a way to for kids to come into the story and like find themselves. So I decided I would kind of limit my palette in color and then initially choose 4 colors that I would sort of have 4 children that you could follow: red, orange, blue, and green throughout the story. And that way, their names are never mentioned, but the reader can kind of find them in each page. And so when I was doing sketches, I don't know if this is the best example, but yeah, it's what we have. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It's
That's
fine.
fine.
They're picnicking, but what happened was, do you want to say when you got the sketches?
When I got the sketches, I looked at them and I said, I know exactly who those children are in my research. I know the names, I know what happened to them, I knew how they grew up and what they became, and it just gave me chills. And I said to our editor, Carol, I know those kids. And she said to you, or you took that information and did what?
And I just, Ernie, was it Ernie?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just kind of went with it, and 2 of the orange and red little girls were sisters, and there was another little girl, Renata, and then a little boy, Max or Ernest and Joseph. Sorry. And so, but there was just one boy initially in blue. So when Caren, you talk about that one.
Well,
Joseph.
Oh, Joseph. Well, we needed one more child to complete this group of children. And Joseph became Joseph Schlesinger. Actually, one of the children who survived grew up to be a very award-winning newscaster for the Canadian broadcasting system. Renata, I found, was in University of Wisconsin, who became a scientist in genetics. Many of these children grew up and grew into careers that could give back to the world.
We were talking about just that very thing, right? This idea that when you tell a story, when you choose to tell a story, it helps to spur this resilience. And how many folks have gone through atrocious things in their life that they cannot, parts of their story that they cannot help. I mean, I'm a black man saying this, so I'm a black gay man saying this. Like that, you're given, there are some things in your life that you're just handed. and what you do with them from there, whether you choose compassion, whether you choose anger, whether you choose bitterness, whether you choose hope, all come from what you do with them next, right? Like Miles Davis says, there are no wrong notes. There are only notes in the wrong places. I think John Coltrane said there are no wrong notes. It's only once you play a note, play it again, and it becomes just a motif. So it comes down to it comes down to what you do with those things, and so I wonder, like, what do you imagine, what do you hope is happening with this book? What is this story opening up for children, for families who are hearing it? Another way of asking is, in 21, 24, how is it, what is this opening for children? What role is it serving in the family, in the home?
I can speak to that, and then Selina, you go. But I'll start out with just how it can unfold. I sent this copy to my son Aaron. Some of you may remember Aaron, who grew up in this at First Universalist. I sent it to him, and I said, put it away for about 3 or 4 years. He had his son at that time. Our grandson was 6 years old. I said, maybe 9, maybe 10. And of course, little Reed saw the cover and saw my name and said, read it, Daddy. And I said, well, how did that go? He said, he had lots of questions. I said, I'm sure he did. And he said, what really struck him was that my son saying, I began to cry. He'd never seen me cry from a story. And I thought at that point that even that is important to know, that there's a story that can touch your father, even if he doesn't understand yet what the story is about. But I think this story is so much about resilience, about that plastic resilience you were talking about one man, Nicholas Winton, among many, but one man at 28 years old said, I need to help save these kids. He could have gone home from a vacation that he was taking and went to Prague to help, and spent hours and hours and months to bring as many children out of Czechoslovakia as he could. That needing to step in to an ordinary man stepping into extraordinary times, and seeing the extraordinary aspect of this whole thing and knowing he could do something. And then after that time, when the last train could not leave the station because it was September 1st, 1939, he went on and had his life, but he never talked about it. And nobody ever knew this story. And a lot of people say why, but he didn't need to tell it, because it was something he needed to do, wanted to do, and didn't need to explain. I think that's something really important, to be able to step into a situation and just know and do it. Yes.
Can I say, I think actually that is part of what is so important about what you're doing for this story. Because even when I don't tell my story, if no one tells it, then we go through a world where a room full of us have no idea that we can have a hand in shaping the extraordinary moments of the world. And in fact, right, we're starting to learn. Yesterday, we learn every day nowadays that these extraordinary times aren't particularly extraordinary anymore at all, right? They're happening every day. Every day there's a moment where you can matter to love and justice. Every day there's a moment where you can do something extraordinary. And I think it comes from making ourselves voices for each other's stories. That's what I so deeply admire about what you're bringing into the world through this, is you're making sure that there are generations of people who are seeing this story that could otherwise disappear, except that you give it voice and you give it sight. I honor that, and I appreciate.
It's part of the ripple of this story, that we don't know what we do for one another. We don't know the ripple effect. And this is one of the ripple effects.
Yeah.
I don't even know, we don't know how many this is affecting.
That's right.
But it may change people's lives.
Yep.
Yeah, and because I'm an artist, I think of things in metaphors, and there's a lot of symbolism in this story, and I actually feel like for the parents that had to take a leap of faith and put their children onto the train, not knowing, you know, to me, I mean, I did the art during the pandemic, like, you know, it was things were feeling really existential. My own children, I have teenagers, they were suffering a lot. They were in, I had to put one of them in boarding school, and another one was in Florida for mental health stuff. And so I felt like there was a lot of, like, for me, separation, and like letting go of my children. And so I just, you know, and I know this is meant for much younger kids, so I like to say, like, when you send your kids to preschool or school, you're having that same leap of faith. So, and you just never know what life has in store, or, you know, so things like that. Those were the kinds of ideas that I was trying to kind of channel. And the symbolism of the stars of the night was a really nice thing for me to carry through, because of the thing that Vera's mom said. Do you want to say that part?
No, yeah, and then we'll have to move on
Okay.
to make sure that folks can give to you the vote before they.
Oh, yeah. If we could have the slide of, not the third slide, I think is the one that we could use now. The next one. This is the golden thread. Vera Gissing was one of the children on that train, and one of the trains, and at 8 years old. And as her mother was packing up suitcases for both her sister and for Vera, her mother said, and I found this in Vera's memoir, "There will be times when you will feel lonely and homesick. Let the stars of the night and the sun of the day be the messenger of our thoughts and love." And once I read that, I knew that that was the golden thread through the book, in my words, and that Selina could use in her art. And if we could see the next slide, Selina, how you draw in the stars and the sun, and she brings that all the way through the book, and that way of what was that? Holding us together. You're not alone.
Yeah.
The stars of the night and the sun of the day. We can communicate even though we are not together or may never see one another again.
Yes, I remember part of our conversation where we were able to talk on the phone, thinking about, you reminded me of a dear memory when I was young and in love. Now I'm just older and in love. But I remembered feeling homesick because I wanted to, reach out to my loved one at the time, my boo. And I remember finding comfort in exactly that symbol, that I looked up at the moon, and I could see that the moon was the same moon that was connecting us, and in the same way, the way we talked about stories being the way the generations talk to one another. And so your pictures, your words are one of the ways that we are sending up the same stars that the future will look at. And so it matters, the stories we tell and how we tell them. And I'm so grateful that that you would devote your calling to this kind of work of preserving our stories for the generations here and the generations to come. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So beautiful.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. So good to be with you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
In case it's not already obvious, it is 1939. In our own story. And now is the time when we build the train together. Now is the time when we vote. Now is the time when we make our lives, make our everyday habit about building and supporting the democracy that can carry us through to what is next. And what we need to do now is give boldly to our UU the Vote efforts. This is our denomination's pro-democracy movement and structure that our congregation is participating in, and I invite you to do so now. And I remind you also that every single week here at First Universalist, our time of offering is also a time of receiving. These things cannot possibly exist separately. So if this is a time when you have to flex that muscle that is often harder for most of us, which is to ask for what you need, I invite you to come see me after the service or send me an email, and we will make our church's funds for emergency support available to you. Let us receive our morning offering now.
Yeah. No. You do your thing. I just want to be closer to you while you do your thing.
I can't blame you. I bring greetings from First Unitarian in Brooklyn, where I'm the director of music. My name's Adam Pod. And I'm doing some improvising here today. That was Pete Seeger's Hammer song, or known as If I Had a Hammer. And I want to do some more improvising with some help from you. So what I'm going to need from you is some songs. And let me prompt you with this idea. What are the staples of the songbook for you, whether they're in the hymnal or not? What are the staples of the songbook that ground you to your faith? And when you have one, and before you shout it out, let me say one more thing. When you have one, shout it out. And I invite you to not preload your songs too deeply, because in the spirit of yes and finishing and telling each other stories, somebody else's song might give you a different idea for your song. So have your ideas, but also listen to the things that are coming out. And I'm going to write a few down, and we're going to weave them together a bit for some more improvisatory meditation, music stuff. So when you're ready, go ahead.
Blue Boat Home, I heard.
Blue Boat Home. Lean on me.
Lean on me. I heard someone over here.
Tonight we fly.
Mm-hmm. Morning has broken, I heard.
Mm-hmm. Morning has broken.
Amazing grace.
Amazing grace.
Say yes to life.
Yes to life.
Just as long as I have breath.
Just as long.
Blue Boat Home.
That's 2 for Blue Boat Home. Okay.
No, it's no, it's 1,000 for Blue Boat Home.
Heard. Swimming to the other side.
For the earth forever turning.
For the earth. Got it.
Mr. Tambourine Man.
Great. Before you panic while you're looking at your watches, don't worry, I'm not about to play all of these songs, but I am going to use some of them, and we're going to maybe sing some of them, and who knows what will come out next. Thank you for your contributions. One more?
I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. That one?
Not to be confused with Stand By Me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. No.
Mm-hmm. It's a part of that plastic resilience. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
lean on me. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody. Adam, how you do that? No. Adam, you're one of the most visceral and visually expressive pianists I've ever seen. It's just there is a clear music that is channeling. There is a clear. I've always wondered what is going on in your mind. How ideas are showing up. Is there an image? Is there a voice? What are you doing with what comes to your head and what?
Let me start by saying I'm a very, very non-visual person.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where I'm not diagnosed, but I think I might be face blind, if you've heard that term. And it's like in It's very non-visual up in here. I liken my, I don't know, channeling of physicality, if that's kind of the focus here, to the way when I conduct a choir, you're often, for the choir's benefit, showing them the nature of the music with your body. So it can be a reminder to the choir of conversations you've explicitly had, or just, you know, the nature of music that you haven't actually verbalized, but you can show them a lot. And people hear what they see and they respond to it. And that comes easily to you. I've seen it a million times in your body. And I think that it's from the same place. And I don't know why it's missing in so many pianists to get to address that, because I don't do it in a for someone's benefit way, but I don't know how you would play with expression if you didn't express.
I don't know how you live without your body being able to express.
That's right, yeah.
There's and as we are going out into the world now, I wanted to make sure that we ended with an example of what it means, the beautiful things that are possible when you say there is possibility here. And if I don't see it, it's because I haven't found it yet. As you are going into the places, your corners of the world, know that there is possibility where you wind up. There is possibility where you are now in every conversation, even the ones that are about to annoy the bejesus out of you. There is possibility for connection. There is possibility for liberation. There is possibility for a yes in the things you've been saying no to for decades. If you don't know where it is, it's just because you haven't found it yet. And so, I beckon you into the world that is greeting your next days, in the world that's greeting your next moments. Leave the song that Adam has brought to us into your heart. Welcome it to remind you of who you can be, of who you are, and what the world is calling from you. If you're living any days on repeat of assumptions that you've held longer than you can remember why, now's the time to remember that you can change that story. You can find the yes. Go into the world then, my friends. Go into the world connecting with the yes in your life. Remember what Howard Thurman says, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and then go out and do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. The world doesn't need your bitterness, it needs your possibility. Amen. Let us rise. Let us sing together. And hey, would you do me the honor of playing along with our tradition of Where You Go, I Will Go? Yes. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to take the bass notes. You just take anything you want. Okay.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine.
Friends, as we began together, let us leave together with a breath, and breath just for the gift of breathing in
A breath for the calling to breathe out. Love is the breath of this church. So may it be the breath of each of your days. Go in peace, my friends. Amen. I forget how